This is a fascinating story, and reporter Michael Senato said this. Likely the biggest union battle in the country right now, 41,000 union members fighting Disney's poverty wages as Disney withholds their bonuses and it's barely getting covered in the media. So he's not kidding. I saw this tweet, I went and I looked, I found one article on this in the past week or so. I think it was the Orange County Register or some obscure paper like that. But you read through his tweet storm, and man, he goes into detail, and it is wild. There are people who work at Disney who literally go through bouts of homelessness. They pay $10 an hour, okay, at least as of right now. And then they do, they say you're working part-time, but they make you work like 50, 60, or even 70 hours a week when you start. So you have these strikes, and people are saying, no, you have to pay us a living wage. You know, you have to treat us in a decent, fundamentally human way. And 41,000 union members are now fighting back against them. And it is barely covered in the media. Now, I don't know the exact workings of how that came about. I mean, my guess would be Disney's probably invested in many of these outlets that are the corporate media outlets, so this really gets fucking no coverage at all. But whatever the reason is, you see very clearly, just like we saw with the West Virginia strike, that when you have workers really, really fighting back and winning, it gets almost no coverage. Because you don't want to let everybody else know that there is such a thing as power in numbers. If we did a general strike in the country and it started tomorrow, we would have Medicare for all, free college, a living wage, and we would end the wars by the end of the year. I mean that. Because if everybody gets together and says, no, we're not going to work until you do these things that we want. These are our demands, and they're not negotiable. Either you do it or nobody works. Sorry. Well, if you did a general strike, that gets their attention because you can't keep the system functioning if you do a general strike. And it's a non-violent way to achieve the goals that we're trying to achieve. And that's why this is so important. 41,000 union members, and they're not covering it, so people can't stand in solidarity with them. But if they cover it, people would stand in solidarity with them, which is why they're not fucking covering it. And that's exactly why the West Virginia strike didn't get much coverage. But even though it got a little bit of coverage, and when it got that little bit of coverage, boom, all of a sudden Oklahoma, now they're doing it. A few other states, now they're doing it. And they're fighting back, and they're going to win. So workers need to know that you have the power, but you have to band together to have the power. Collective action works. So this is an important story. I stand in solidarity with the Disney workers who are fighting for a living wage and fighting for better working conditions. And shame on the media for not covering this at all.